what you doing, that's gas me up. Nah, keep my eyes open, letting nothing pass me up. Nah. Oh, I refuse to let you block my shine. No, not today. Oh, and I ain't going without a fight. No, not today. I'll take the light, you hold the camera, don't need more. Ready for action, I'm never lacking, I've seen war. FaceTimes, great minds couldn't conceive or couldn't relate, was robbed the chance to see more. So I aspire to reach higher, the fire inside of me burns brighter until I blow up like C4. Great shit, make hits deep as the sea floor. Paste it, race gets long as the seashore. My star rising, they see me shine like I done been dipped in diamonds, but I be like, where the haters, they seem sure. It's all crickets, they on my dick like a seesaw. With no ticket, it's so sickening. Please pause as I provide the soundtrack to bounce back from each loss until we reach the target, we proceed course. There's no quitting, the clock's ticking. I seen how the plot thickens. Regardless, I never let it throw me off. The shit boy, get on my level, doing 120.
We are fucking live. What's going on, people? You know what it is. It's What the Shit Wednesday. We are live in the building. Yes, indeed. We are live. Chris, what's going on, man?
What's going on, man? Just listening to the the trade news.
Yeah, so Cleveland finally pulled the fucking trigger. I know a lot of people are happy and sad at the same damn time. Most of the people that are sad are in Carolina. I'm sorry for y'all. Y'all got Baker Mayfield now.
Yeah, they got him.
They got him for roast beef sandwiches and 2 dime bags of hash. It ain't even good stuff. It's pretty much
I was about to say, yeah, it ain't even Arby's. You getting the less than the fat trimmings.
Finally pulled the trigger. It's been an ongoing saga in Cleveland. Will he or won't he stay? And they finally got rid of him.
We knew he wasn't going to stay. He pretty much was saying like he doesn't want to play. He does not want to play for Cleveland. But see, I can't blame him.
I can.
You know, because I'm like, I'm not going to blame him. Like, yeah, your last season was better than the previous season, but that ain't enough. The fact that they kind of hung you out to dry as quick as they did.
He ain't endear himself to the fans, man. It's crazy. I mean, what they got for him was like a conditional 5th round pick. Like, he was a former first and got traded for a 5th.
I could swear it was a 4th, so the 5th is even worse. Yeah.
Yeah. It ain't looking too good right now for Baker Mayfield. But wish him the worst. Nothing but the worst out in Carolina. Him and Sam Darnold can play ring around the rosy and figure out who's gonna start, which is crazy because they played
That's Cleveland the same thing he did here.
Yeah,
he did the same shit here.
Yeah, it ain't a good look. But yeah, man.
So I know you went to the USFL game this weekend. How was it?
It was live. I didn't think it was going. It was packed. Like, it was a packed house here in Canton, man. It was a lot of people. I see my old football coach, a bunch of other people, man. It was good for the city, man. I guess it put money in their pocket. It goes to show that I guess Canton can host more stuff once they fix and finish buying people out of their houses and continue to build.
Well, they still doing all that construction around the stadium still too. So I mean, I think they just picked that back up.
Yeah, they got lofty goals, man. They talking about a water park and a convocation center and a basketball thing and restaurants and hotels and resorts and all this other stuff. And I'm just like, man, it's the same 5 busts in there, the same rings, the same trophy. I mean, I've been there twice and like I was like, you know what? I've seen enough. Like
you've added nothing to the sandwich.
There's no value. I live here, so I'm not paying for hotels and resorts and restaurants and stuff. That's for tourists. That's what I mean. It's really about tourism. They're trying to maximize the dollars and make Canton one of the top spots. But it's Ohio, man. I'm like, come to Ohio to for a vacation. Who is vacationing in Ohio? Why? Like, I live here.
That's the real question. You're like, I can't get away from this motherfucker.
I live here and I kind of sort of like being here sometimes. It's just like, man, y'all come here to visit? Like, really? You leave? Like, people be leaving. Like, I met a dude. He was like, man, I'm from Philly. He came out here for the game. And I was like, why? I could have watched. If these tickets wasn't free, I wouldn't even be here. Like, I got tickets. We got free tickets. I kind of sort of was like, I guess I got to go. But yeah, if it wasn't free, I wouldn't have went. I ain't going to lie. I would have watched it right on TV or did something else because I probably wouldn't even watch it on TV. But it was a great experience. We had good seats. We was right behind the end zone. But man, the prices at the stadium, yo, it was like
They're that
$3
bad
for like 2 Starbursts. Like 2, and it wasn't even. It was like 2 lemons. Like this shit was like $3 for 2 lemon Starbursts. Twizzlers was like it was like 5 in a pack for $34. Popcorn was like 8. Hot dogs.
You cannot
Man, I seen a
charge
dude eat
Rocket
about
Mortgage
10 hot
field
dogs.
house prices for the USFL game. You can't do that.
It was horrible, man. Like they was charging $12 for a Truly. That's a case of Truly, man.
Damn.
Yeah, man, it was horrible. But
Damn,
I say all that,
son.
man. It was crazy. But first of all, let's our first guest is here. Let me put this on the screen so y'all know we dealing with big time people. Miss Ann Bernard.
How you
Let me
doing?
get this,
I'm doing all right. How are y'all doing?
All right.
we are doing
Yeah, I would
good.
not. I would not go vacation in Ohio. That would not happen.
Sure, you not hurt my feelings. Trust me.
Right.
Every day I think about my
Contemplate.
escape. Like I was just like, one of these days I'm gonna just disappear. I'm gonna go get a pack of cigarettes in New York or something. I don't even smoke cigarettes. I'm just gonna disappear.
Not come back.
Find a way to just
Hey,
get ice cream and
Tommy, get your mom on the phone.
Bismol. You know what I mean? It's just, I can't do it. Hello and thank you for coming. First time storytelling. What is that and how did it get started?
It is a means for people to communicate who they are through personal storytelling. So we are the sum of our experiences, and everything we've ever done starts with a first time. So you can actually weave a thread through your life through all your first times. And so, for me, storytelling, I grew up, I was not the kind of kid that opened up. It's just not, it was not a safe environment at home to open up. And then at 17, I joined the Marine Corps, turned 18 in boot camp. And in the military, especially as Marines, like you're a Marine, I'm a Marine, we're cool. There's no reason to really get to know each other. You're going to be there for each other. So, and then when I left active duty after 10 years, I became an entrepreneur, and then it was business. So it became very transactional, right? All my interaction were pretty much, hey, this is what I have to offer. So what you have to offer, is it a good deal? No, then we're kind of moving on. And yeah, so I was, in my mid 30s, and I found myself in a situation where I realized I don't know how to make human connections. So,
Mr. Deacon. Yes, he is a jarhead.
Hey, well, that's something. So, it broke my heart that I realized, like, I just don't know how to do this. So I prayed about it, and then I found myself traveling a lot, and I was doing Airbnbs, and people were opening up their homes, and they're like, hey, what brings you here? Who are you, type of thing. And you're like, well, if you open up your home to me, it's only decent of me to actually open up and share something about me. And because I was traveling and I was doing all these first time and new experiences, I started telling them stories of the things that I was doing. And they were really enjoying the stories. And the more stories I told, the more this whole opening up thing is kind of nice. Like, people get to know you and you make connections, and they talk back, they tell you stories back, you learn about them. And so when COVID happened, I had moved to Las Vegas. I'm in Las Vegas. I had moved to Las Vegas to start the 365 First Challenge. And because the one city around the world most associate first time and new experiences is Las Vegas. And I I moved in Las Vegas in August of 2019. December of 2019, I launched the app with the plan of 2020. I'm going to partner up with all the businesses in Vegas, capture, part of the 44 million people that come to Vegas, and then COVID happened. So that kind of changed, like many other people, that changed my plans. And I was hearing people were having a tough time, like, hey, I'm not seeing my people anymore. And I feel disconnected. I feel lonely. I feel isolated. And the truth is, when we meet in person, we have very superficial conversations. And, we don't do those heart to heart connections. We don't open up. We don't make ourselves vulnerable. And, we don't say what's really going on. So now that physical connection was gone, I started doing the first time storytelling broadcast to bring people on to share their first time stories, so they could experience the power of storytelling and say, hey, start communicating through your stories. And then I realized people weren't very good storytellers, which I kind of knew that already, because when I was doing my traveling, I was hitting people up, I was like on the dating apps or whatever. I'm like, hey, I'm just here for a couple nights, whatever. So I ended up going on like over 100 first dates.
Wow. Well,
and
first of all, let me say that sounds exhausting.
Right.
When I was single, I went on 2, and I was like, this shit ain't for me. Like, it's a lot. And that was a long time ago, so I know it's even crazier now.
Yeah, I was going to say the pool might be pretty dirty these times.
Yeah, obviously it was before COVID, but I would roll into town. My best time was 15 minutes from rolling into town and sitting down with somebody.
Wow.
Yeah, it was like I was becoming quite a pro at it. But it got to the point where it's like, I don't do dinner, I don't do coffee. Like, if it's not an active date, like, I'm out, because sitting there and just listening to the same old conversations, like, oh, this is so boring. Like, people have very boring lives, but it's not that people have boring lives, that people don't know how to communicate their lives. They don't know about communicating their experiences. So you do all the surface stuff, which gets you nowhere. And it's boring. So so when I started doing the first time storytelling broadcast, it was kind of like the same thing. I'm like, you need to get deeper into it, share your thoughts and your feelings and your emotion. It's like, that's the stuff people connect to. And people are so scared. You're scared of rejection. You're scared of being judged. So people don't communicate that way. So I started a course, and now, my mission, like, I want to turn everybody into personal storytellers, because having heard so many people's stories, have it brought people together to share their stories. People realize, like, holy cow, we have so much more in common than what separates us. And when we connect on the human level experience, like, it blows people away. So, and that's the beauty, like with the first time, like, if we all shared the story of maybe like our first cars, right? They're going to be similarities and they're going to be differences, right?
I don't know. My first car had no steering wheel. It had no airbag, like driver's side airbag. Somebody stole the ignition, so I had to get a push button installed, and it was like a Dodge Intrepid. Like dirty green. It was like the worst. The leather seats was cracked, so anytime you sat down, they were hot and they pinched your ass. So it was like, it wasn't my first car. If somebody got a story like that, we need to talk, because we all need a little counseling.
Yeah, but those are cool stories, But and if you tell it properly, right? So how did you end up with that particular vehicle, right? And it's like, you're going to realize, hey, some people, really worked really hard to buy their first car. Some people, got lucky and their parents bought them their first car. My stepmom,
I don't even know what that's like.
Well, my stepmom went to the casino and she won the bingo. And that's how she ended up buying me my first car. But she went to come and get me out of the school. And I was so scared. I thought, like, because she was very, very strict. So when I saw her at the school, I was scared the whole time. Like, she's taking me back home. I did something wrong. Like, the whole time I'm scared. And we actually get to the dealership and I'm staying in the vehicle, like, what, why are we here? She's like, get out of the car.
Wire hangers.
And I'm like literally looking at the car. She's like, this is yours. And it's just not registering. It's just not like, wait, I'm getting a, so, it highlights like my relation, it starts pulling layers of like what my childhood might have been like. Right. But then the world that opens up, and people from different countries, they're much later in life, they get their cars and so, there's different significance to where, but we all had that sense of freedom when we got that first car, right? No matter how jacked up it was, it took you places.
Yes.
Florida,
sometimes, right?
Broken key and all. Yes.
But now we're connecting like, hey, this is how our experience was different. This is how, it was the same. This is how it was different. And we're getting to know each other, and we're sharing laughs, and it's completely different than what we end up doing is, hey, this identity, right? Like wherever we're from or how we vote, like politics, religion, like when we do that, now we start having opinion, we start having judgments, even though I don't know you, because you like, let's not connect through identity. Let's connect through our human experience. So I'm trying to get the shift so I can battle divisiveness, loneliness, and stagnation through people opening up and sharing their personal stories.
So how does one go about learning how to, one, be a better storyteller, and two, being part of the movement to battle that decisiveness, loneliness, and stagnation?
So great questions. So I created a course, and I'm about to start. So God put it on my heart to offer it for free. So I'm gonna shift it to, it's one of those like God gives you a mission, and if you charge for it, it's not going to reach as many people as you want it to reach. And when you're like, God, I'm not paying the bills, but I'm gonna trust you. You say do this, I'm gonna do it. So if people reach out to me at firsttimestorytelling.com, I'll get them in the course, and like I said, for free. And I do a bunch of, also, if you're just curious, you want to know more, I do a lot of free classes through Eventbrite. If you just like, oh, is this really for me? Can I really, benefit from this? Because it will blow you away. Like I do a course on the purposes and benefits of personal storytelling, and people are just like, holy crap. Like I just didn't realize there's just so much value, because one, it raises your self-awareness. Like you get to understand yourself, and to communicate who you are, you get to understand who you are. And some people don't even understand who they are, so they can't communicate it. And then you understand why people don't understand you. And in one of the class that I teach is like, we have an ownership, and that's something that I had to realize. Like, hey, I feel lonely because people don't get me, but I don't tell people who I am. So I have a responsibility. Let me carry the load of, I'm going to communicate who I am. If you don't get it, then you might not be my people, because you can't get me, but at least I put in the effort, and then you will meet the people that get you. And then you'll know, like, hey, these are my people. They're going to understand me, support me, and encourage me. And you'll know, because they'll also open up. So the way to join the movement is really to engage in you becoming a personal storyteller, and you creating the space, right? So when I open up about a story, I'm creating the space, because it's about starting a conversation for you to be sharing a story. So I'm going to allow myself to open up and be vulnerable. And if I do that, I'm creating the space for you to do the same thing. And then, so the responsibility to tell the story, and the responsibility to be an active listener. Like, I will hear you. Like, I'll make sure, to listen. And that's why people need to get better at storytelling, because some people are like, dude, get to the point. It should be engaging and entertaining, right? If I tell you a good story, like, I'm grabbing you, and I'm a white chick with gray hair, in my 40s, whatever, different background than you guys. But if I tell you a story, I need to be able to put you in my shoes so that you understand from my perspective. And people tell stories, but they don't do that transfer. So now again, I'm having the experience as myself. So now, so it's teaching people to really do that and then to be listening. And we're working on a t-shirt line too that says "Tell me your story," and it's these characters and they're having human experiences. And when you start wearing the t-shirt, you'll do a pledge like, hey, if I'm wearing this t-shirt, I'm going around. It is for people to be able to talk to me. And when I do that, I'll take the time to listen to your story. I don't know. Like I said,
I have one caveat to that, because there's one place I don't want somebody to talk to me, and that's the men's restroom. And for some reason, I am a magnet. For that.
There's
I will be in the
a
men's
line
bathroom,
there. Oh.
using the bathroom, and for some reason, some guy just feels the need to talk to me, and it be the most awkward conversation. Like, well, how's the weather? See anything good on TV? Like, dude, I just want to pee, wash my hands, and walk out. Like, I don't want to have a full blown conversation with you. I don't want to know your life story. I don't care. Like, and it's not that I don't care. It's just the bathroom is the weirdest place.
It's a
to try to
man
talk to
law.
someone.
It's a literal man law that states when you're going into the bathroom and you're standing at the urinal, there's supposed to be another urinal empty.
It ain't even
and there's
that.
nothing to be spoken.
They could be 5 urinals away and they still want to talk. And I just be like, why me? Lord, why me? Was I giving this curse to people want to talk to me in the restroom? I had a guy on the toilet try to talk to me. I'm washing my hands. He's like, hey, anybody out there? And I'm like, no.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
No one's here.
I need
No
a
one
couple
here but
squares.
Yeah, I mean, if they ask for toilet paper, that's
Yeah.
It wasn't toilet paper. He just
It went
wanted to
toilet
talk.
paper. So I want to talk with you.
I just felt
Wow.
like that was weird. Like, I don't.
That
There's a
is
time and a
weird.
place for everyone, but the men's
That is
restroom
weird.
ain't that place.
It's
Like,
not one of them.
Bathroom at a
Yeah.
club, nowhere.
We had
No bathroom.
back. It's probably changed by now, but back in 1995 when I went to boot camp, when we went to the rifle range, the barracks, we stayed there. The bathroom were all open, so it's like,
God.
Yeah.
toilet, and you're looking at each other, and you're like sitting on the
Oh.
toilet, and you're looking at each other, and you're trying not to look at each other. So some people like that conversation because you're like, well, shoot. Well,
You
You
oh,
got
you're
tunnel
just-
vision. You got to put tunnel vision on you.
Yes.
I don't think
I
y'all know
don't see these people.
Yeah.
That is my waking nightmare. An open bathroom like that. Oh God, I'd rather be around a clown than that, and I hate clowns. Like, I just,
Shit.
oh my God, like,
Everybody's got to
open
do it.
bathroom. Yeah, I know, but I don't care. Like, I don't want to see it, nor hear it, nor talk to you while you do it. That's just
Bad enough. I got to smell you. I don't want to see anything else.
So you're not having your wife come in the bathroom and do her thing.
No, I don't.
No.
I'll run in and
No.
out. Like, I can't. Like, my son, like, will come in the room and just, like, my basement, it has like an open in the back. There's a bathroom. He'll just come down and like just pee, like just whistling. I'm like, dog, like, there's a bathroom with a door upstairs. Go there. I don't know. It's a phobia. It's a fear. It's bathrooms and clowns and mascots. I don't do mascots either.
I have to say, men peeing is a sound that annoys me. Like, it's
Yeah.
like what's it so loud?
It sounds like it's in stereo every
Could
time.
yeah, it does.
No, it doesn't matter.
It
But
does.
see,
No.
that's just our way of like, okay, we hit the water, especially if we're waking up in the middle of the night. Oh, we hit the water. We're fine. We don't.
Yeah,
Peeing
well,
in the dark. That's not.
you can be like in a different part of the house, and you'll hear somebody like pee.
Yeah.
Like, why?
But
I don't-
on a real note, and your concept is intriguing. And the reason why I say that is because when you mentioned COVID, at a time where people were shut down and you really had no physical interaction whatsoever, and you couldn't, a lot of people didn't go on dates or they didn't do a lot of physical or physical interactions. Like, those are different type of dates. But it's refreshing to know that you have a concept where you inviting people, like you mentioned the Airbnbs. I think that's dope that, like you put it perfectly. These people opened up their home to you it would only be fair for you to tell a story about yourself, not your life story, maybe, but something to just kind of, well, something to kind of open up the door, so to speak, to say, hey, you were kind enough to do this, and it reminds you of certain things from like medieval times and stories and everything.
Yeah, that's funny you said that, because sometimes I felt like I was like singing, performing for my dinner. When like
I was gonna say it feels like
telling
you want
She's
to
the bard.
tell me a story.
Yeah, but it was so much fun, and I and it still stumps me how hard it is for me to get people to embrace this, like how hard it is for people to feel comfortable opening up. But it's also, people don't realize how much of your life you've put on a shelf. Like, you don't talk about these things anymore. And, you rather talk about, a TV show or whatever, gossip or whatever, and then talk about like things that have happened in your life, and, the lessons that I teach in the class to figure out the theme of your stories and then know where that story is best used and leverage, right? So, because obviously we're, in business, people, tell the story in sales, tell the story in marketing. They talk about how powerful it is, and it is truly powerful. But I'm tired of everything being used for money, for marketing, for control, for manipulation. Instead of like on the personal level, for connection, for like, it breaks my heart where the world is at and where it's going, when if we just connect and get to know each other on, like, again, the human level, we realize we have so much more in common than what separates us. And then there's so much we can achieve and do together. It's just so simple, yet so insanely difficult to get people to say, yeah, I want this. And there's a study that came up, because I'm writing a book on, how to do battle against the vices of loneliness, stagnation through storytelling. And there's a study that came out that, divisiveness actually releases, dopamine, makes people feel good, to pick a side, to be part of a side, to win through that. And, and this is why it's being leveraged in politics. It's people know this, and you're being controlled and manipulated and in the process. And people just take the dopamine hit, or whatever emotion it arises, or anger. People love being fueled by anger.
Oh yeah.
And they move ahead with that, and it's definitely not doing any good for our society. And
No.
yeah.
Right.
I think people, like, that study is 100% true. I think people do thrive on that, feeling like they belong to something even though they don't. It feels good to feel like you're one of something, even if you don't really believe in what you're siding with. It still just feels good, which to me is weird, because
I see it on social media all the time.
Yeah,
it's on social media all the time.
Oh, social media is so trash. I hate it. Because people don't tell stories on there. They just post pictures and do weird stuff.
Go with what's most popular.
Yeah.
Or fits their opinion, I should say. Or fits their narrative.
I think what you're doing does provide a service, because I believe the more storytellers we have, because back in the old days when there wasn't social media, there wasn't really books being told. Stories were passed down from generation to generation. So I think we can get back to that, and we should, because you need that old, wise, sage person who has those stories and can tell those stories and have that wisdom, and they're not just in the midst of something that they heard on TV and they really have their own opinion.
Yeah, and it's the story of your family. Like, my mom passed away a few years ago, and, I really wish I would have sat her down and said, hey, I want to hear these stories, and I still need to do it with my dad. Like, because and especially things are moving so fast between generations that
Mhm.
things are going to be missed because,
Yes.
our childhood was so different than kids today's childhood. It's important to talk about, what it was like, and to get, for them to have that somewhere as part of, oh, life, was like that. And as we're moving forward, like, our carrying on even the history within the family, it's just, and that's why if you do it to where, you know it's the common topic that you're talking about, you know again, if we told the story of our first love, or the first time we've been on the plane, or the first, certain first where certain technology doesn't even exist anymore, that's part of our stories. you know for and for kids to take interest, for younger generation to take interest in that, for us to take interest in the older generations, because that's all gonna, get lost. That's all. And what are we gonna be left with?
TikTok.
The stuff.
Yeah.
TikTok.
I mean,
It's
you do raise a good point, and you do have generations of families that don't talk about certain things, and it doesn't even have to be traumatic experience. It could just be how they lived, how things were at that time when they were growing up, and it allows them to. It's always a lesson to be learned. It's always a lesson to be learned in those things, and it's to learn with the new generations. They wouldn't either make the mistakes a previous generation made in whatever that case may be, or they would actually learn something, how to solve a certain issue or certain problem, because it's just easier, instead of like, oh, I'm gonna find out and do it my way, like, yeah, and this is how you this is how you fall on your face.
Yeah. And the
when
beauty,
you
yeah.
could have just went down the corner and around the block and been fine.
And the beauty when you tell a story, like, I tell people, when you tell a story, whoever's listening is gonna get, it. Let them take the takeaway, right? So let's say I used to tell my Marines. So I have a story. I have a story of a hit and run. Um, but I ended up going home and telling my parents about it. So I used to tell my Marines, every new platoon, every new section of Marines, I stood in front. I told them the story, because at the end, it's that telling the truth pays. So I would tell them this story so they would understand. Like, I got myself in a really bad situation, but I chose to tell the truth. And because I told the truth, my parents had my back. And ultimately, my mom gave me some money to pay for the damage, without telling you the whole story. It's a funny story. But I ended up keeping the $500.
Oh,
So, so, told the truth so that the Marines would know, like, if you guys get in trouble, like, come tell me, I will have your back. And now, if I find out from the leadership, then I'm going to be pissed off. You didn't come tell me. So, there are stories like that where, to make your point, and it makes you a person to other people's eyes. Like, oh, this person screwed
Teaches
up before.
responsibility too.
Yeah,
yes.
it's so powerful to communicate that way. And if the person doesn't get it, you don't need to beat it into them. Like, you plant seeds. People need to get used. We're in the business of seeding. You tell your story, you seed, and somebody else will water, and the harvest will come. Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah.
We're gonna hold that thought for a second. I gotta bring in our next guest. Let me get this going because I meant to give you the clap, but for some reason it was a yay. It still works. Our next guest, Mr. Donny Kash. Do that again. For
Hey guys, how you going? How's it
What
going?
up? What up? What up?
How you guys doing today?
Good, good. Hello, sir. Glad to see you're feeling better. We were supposed to do this once before, but you got it a little under the weather.
Mm-hmm.
So glad to see you feeling well. Donny Cash is brought to us courtesy of Kick Up Your Heels Entertainment. So please tell the people who you are and what you do before we go any further.
So my name is Donny Cash. I'm a recent new amputee. So I do a lot of speeches for kids, for the youth. I also do like motivational speeches just in general for uplifting people and getting them through traumatic times. Yeah.
dope.
Thank
It's
you.
dope.
Um, Chris, I'm gonna let you go. I know you had a
So
question.
well,
I knew you had a question, so I was.
so I'm looking. So you're a motivational speaker, and
Yes,
you're
sir.
also an amputee.
Mm-hmm.
I know, and you go to just different schools. You said, right?
Yes.
So I know as kids, their perception when they first see you, and then the perception they have after you've spoken to them. What is that? What does that look like?
So when I first usually get on the stage, stuff like that, they're all looking at me, kind of looking at my legs, trying to really figure out what's going on. A lot of them have never seen an amputee before, so I'm the very first person they've ever heard. But after I start talking to them and kind of figuring out what they're going through and tell my whole story and stuff like that, they really start asking more questions, get a little more confident with me to like, so because they're very curious of like what I have to go through on a day-to-day basis and just what it's like to be an amputee. So I find at the beginning they're kind of like they're really shy and they're kind of more staring and they're just trying to figure things out. But by the end, they're very open to ask all these questions and about what I have to go through and all that stuff. So it's really nice to see the change of them, of how they open up and they get more comfortable to being able to ask these questions that they maybe not be comfortable asking other people.
That is one dope. Two, um, makes you a good storyteller, which kind of
Mm-hmm.
Fits the
coincides with what's
narrative.
been going
Fits the
on here.
narrative.
You're big into mental health. Mental health advocate. You do a lot.
Yes.
Um, like you're a busy man. Like I've seen your social media. And I'm like, this guy does a lot. This man absolutely works. There's
I
some
appreciate
people
it.
who something happens to them and they kind of wither and they don't quite know how to get up from that.
Mm-hmm.
You had a tragedy. How did you get up from that to feel the confidence to be where you're at?
So I again like when I lost my leg and I finally got out into the real world is when COVID happened. So I'm ready to take on the world, ready just to start this new life. And then COVID happened. Everything kind of like shuts down. So I went through my depression. It was really bad. Where I would sleep all day pretty much. I didn't really want to do anything, but I was still doing rehab, and I started missing appointments. And I just started like really like I was just really done with life. And I just the doctor, she's like, would you be willing to talk to someone? And I was like, you know what? I'm so far down this path right now. What could be really worse? What could be really worse? So I'm like, sure. So I'll talk to her, and it allowed me to give me more mindfulness of what I've gone through and like how far I've gone, and it really just started pushing me and realizing like people watching me too. Like you see yourself in a box, you only see outside the box. You know what I mean? So I saw from the inside of the box, and I was just like, I'm not really doing anything. Like this is crazy. But then I got the help, started talking to her, and she created more mindfulness for me. She started opening my mind up and just seeing like where I could take my life and where I could go with my life and the impact I could have on people. And I started doing like starting to be more positive, just doing more things. She gave me little tasks to do week to week, just to like, be more mindful, more positive. And eventually just started getting better and better. And I just started seeing that what I was doing for people and how my situation, which in my head now wasn't so much, but to the other people that it's a huge situation they have to go through. So that if I could be the voice for them or show them that they could get to where they want to be, and that it's going to take time, it's not going to happen overnight. But if you have the willingness to do it and willingness to push forward, you can get there. So I started seeing that, and I was like, you know what, like this is what I'm meant to do on this planet. This is my job. So I kind of just like I can't really go down that path anymore because there's so many people I can lift up and so many people's life I can save in just like through my speeches and stuff like that. So that's what really got me to where I am now. We're just wanting more.
There's a lot to unpack in that, but the main takeaway is something that I kind of try to push on this show is that you never know who listening to your story
Mm-hmm.
might be motivated to do more and be more.
One
Because
hundred
there's
percent.
oftentimes, like you said, people want to quit even in lesser situations. You know what I mean? Somebody lose their job and all of a sudden they're like, I just want to quit. But they see
Mm-hmm.
somebody who went through this and they're doing better. You did the work.
Yes.
People got to understand the work has to be done. You can't tell great stories. You can't motivate people if you're not doing the work yourself. That's one. Two, you have to be real with yourself. like you said, you felt like you were at that point to where I got nothing up to lose. Why not
Hmm.
try something different? That is powerful to one be true to yourself and know that I'm going through something and I can't do it alone. You sought the help, you did the work, and now you're in a better place. You're actually helping people. And to me, that is one of the greatest things that anybody can ever do is
I
turn
appreciate it.
tragedy into triumph. Turn
Hmm.
something negative into something positive because we all go through stuff every day. And the central thing has been that COVID. We all have a COVID story. And
Yeah.
I have a COVID story. Teresa has a COVID story. Um, I could tell my COVID story, but it ain't about me. But just know that that common thread is something that, as you said, and we can all use as a jumping point to tell our stories. COVID got him down. He was going through it, but he's back in a better place. Now he's going out into the world doing the work. And I can't say how much I appreciate you telling the story. Not only just here, I mean, to the people who listen to you. Because people need to hear that. People need to know that you can make it and you can be more than your situation.
One
You
hundred
can be
percent.
more than your current mindset. It's easy to get negative. It's easy to quit, um, but you didn't, and you guys are doing damn well. You
I
guys are
appreciate
doing
it.
a
It's
great
something that not
service.
everybody can do. That's true.
Because I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm not a motivational speaker. I tried. That is hard. Trying to motivate people every day. Um, but it takes a mindset that you have to be above yourself and take yourself out of it. And like I said, seeing your work and seeing what you do, man, again, I can't say it
Uh,
enough. Like you,
appreciate it.
yeah, I mean, because like you like, I don't want to get all emotional. Yeah, I mean, because I try not to be that host to be Oprah and be like, oh yes. Uh, you can call
You do that
it.
very well.
I know. I watched a lot of
You've done that
Oprah. Again,
before.
don't
Yeah.
judge me. My mom. It was General Hospital, whatever came before that, and then Oprah.
Days of our
So
General Hospital,
it,
Days of Our Lives,
Days of
as
Our
the world
Lives and all that
turns.
as
Yeah.
Yeah.
Young and the Restless. So I've seen all the dramatics. That's probably why I'm messed up now. But anywho, but no, man, like what you've been through and where you're at and what you guys are. Like I said, I love hearing these stories. Um, that's kind of the reason why when we transitioned the show, it was more to bring people on to tell them stories because that first person storytelling, I hate TMZ. I hate outlets who tell people story for them and don't give the people a chance to tell their own story. That's weak to me, and I'm not. I
Sensationalism.
hate other podcasts that do that too. I'm sorry,
Mhm.
I gotta say it. If I can have the person on to tell their story, I don't care whether it was good or bad, whether they was in some controversy. I'd rather that person be able to tell their start of the story than me stand up here and try to tell it for them. It just
That's
makes me
love.
feel weird. Um, so motivational speaking, talking to the kids, but you also do more than that. You're in the media game, photographer.
Hmm.
Like you speak on that, like on that side, like the business side of what you do too.
So, like before this whole my whole incident happened, I was a photographer, videographer, working full time for a rap company. And then my whole situation happened, and like I wasn't sure getting out of the hospital. Or, like I didn't even touch my camera for like 4 or 5 months. My friends were like, "You good?" Like I'm like, I don't even know if this is what I want to do with my life. And I was with my depression and stuff like that. But then I just started to take things on, just take gigs on, just like I stopped looking at myself as broken. I looked at it like let's try this, let's do it. And if I can't do it, I can't do it. But if I can, it's amazing. Let's push forward with this thing. So I just started doing it, started getting more gigs, like doing free things for people, just to get my feet wet. You know what I mean? And then I really did felt there was no thing that was really holding me back at all, even for filming and stuff like that with like the stabilizer. There wasn't much that I really couldn't do. And then I just started, so like I got picked up by a company and I started traveling with them and going like to different, like to LA, to Miami and stuff like that, and just filming like their vlogs and their behind the scenes for all that stuff like that. And I did their first vlog for them, and like it came out better than I thought it was going to. Like I wasn't sure, you're kind of in it. You're not fully sure what you can do it. And I was just like, can I do this? Can I? I'm like I'm filming them. So my footage isn't the most stable, but I still did it, and like it came out really well. And I was like, okay, wow, this is something I could definitely do. And just like it was the only thing that was really holding me back was my mind and how I was thinking. and I was processing things.
See,
He's a jack of all.
I,
He's a jack of all trades. It's what it's boiling down to, really.
I try, you know what I mean? Like, it's, you might as well try things, and if you don't try it, you never try it. So you're gonna look back at it and be like, man, I really wish I tried it. If you try it and it doesn't work out, at least you tried it, right? If you tried it, it worked out, then amazing. You're laughing, you're winning. So that's how I really look at things and go forward for a lot of things I do in life. I'm just down to try it. I'll try it, and why not?
that's the attitude to have.
Season the day.
Just
Hmm.
jumping off. I call it jumping off the porch. Like just
Yeah.
you can't be like too many people sit on the porch and watch life pass them by. That's the metaphor I've always was taught as a kid. You never really sit on like somebody's out there having fun. You grow up, people out there playing football. You're like, man, I want to play football, but I'm gonna just sit
Hmm.
on the porch and watch people play football.
Yeah.
I never wanted to be that person, and I think that's the attitude everybody should have. Like, just jump out there and be what you want to do. Like,
But there's a nice humility to his past. Like
yes,
I can tell you, I've always been extremely confident in everything that I've approached, and I failed
Hmm.
miserably. So
well, yeah, well, yeah.
it's one of the things that I
But you
really
can
had to
walk away.
learn.
You
Was
can
like,
walk away saying you did it though. That's the thing.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, but I
Well,
got to
can
the
you?
point where it was like, but that's what drove me to depression was like, well, what the heck, right? So because that's what the world tells you, right? Have the
Hmm.
confidence, go after it, do it. And I mean, doer. Like fear,
Yeah,
I didn't know fear, right? Always stepping out, and I would fail, pick myself back up, fail, pick myself back up, because that's what the world tells you to do.
Hmm.
And I was not addressing my feelings of failures, and this darkness and this anger started like taking over me to the point
It
where
builds up.
depression and being suicidal. And because hey, I'm doing I'm doing it according to how people say, you do it, and I can't
Hmm.
succeed. And it got to the point where it's like I saw two options: blow my brains out or give my life over to God. And
I'm
Hmm.
glad you chose the
clearly
latter.
I went
Right.
I'm not.
Right.
the God
I'm not
way.
even joking.
Right.
Because
And one of the things he had to teach me was some serious humility. Like be
I,
humble about the things that you do and your reason for doing them. And Donnie's like
Yeah.
exemplifying that, right?
yeah, I'm learning
And
humility now because
yeah,
I try to be humble, but I think you got me beat. Like you, like, you got me. I'll be like, man, I'm doing what I can. I'm doing a little bit, and people be like, no, man, you supposed to talk about it and tell everybody. And I'm like, nah, man, because I don't want to mess up. What I got going on. Because, like you said, you can get too cocky. You can be overconfident. We didn't see many of people be super confident and not know what the heck they was doing. And it ends up horribly. And then you got this guy who nonchalantly is just like, I think I'll
yeah.
try it. Why not? And then he ends up,
Yeah.
doing better than
Excelling.
people who thought they knew what they was doing. I've seen it. I've been on both sides of that. So I
And that,
know.
that used to make me so angry, feel like with anger and jealousy. And it's like, but I didn't see the person's heart. Like this person had a really good heart and it came from that place. And,
Genuine.
Hmm.
now I see that, and it's like more and more like I want to have that kind of heart, and that's how I want to show up. So that's awesome.
That
I
is.
appreciate it.
I mean, traveling, shooting, doing all this grand stuff, editing. Um, what's a normal day for you?
Normal day is I wake up, do a little meditation in the morning, get my mind right, get my mind
I knew you
just
meditated,
just
brother.
I don't really touch my phone in the morning. I don't like to see any social media just because I know that it's going to maybe direct my mind in a different way just by seeing one video or other video. So I like to get my mind right. I like to take like my nutrition. So I think it's a complex athletic greens has all my minerals and vitamins. So I drink that while I'm doing my meditation. I'll have a shower. I'll get ready. I'll put my leg on, and then I'll go to work, which I work at a wrap shop right now. I'm a manager here. So we do all the wraps. We wrap cars. We do all the customizations on the cars,
Mm.
powder coating, starlight. We do it. Anything you see in the cars, we can do it. So I'm here on my feet all day, just like, helping clients out, closing clients. And then in the evenings, I usually where I'm really writing my book right now. So every day I try to slowly get each page done, chapter by chapter. Or I'm just trying to figure out a plan and figure out where my next talk is going to be and what I'm trying to do in like the next couple months. And like try to just try to find like a path myself where for my whether it's social media by doing like the reels or my posts, I'm just trying to set up and be ahead of everything just so I know what my plan is for the next couple months, so I can just stay on track with that.
That's what's
Y'all
up.
killing me. Y'all writing
Right.
plans.
No, because it's such a precise breakdown of his routine.
If you ask
And
me
it's so disciplined.
No, at the beginning it wasn't like that, but then I started seeing more benefits of being disciplined and teaching myself that, and it would just if I didn't do my discipline, I would feel off the whole day, and I'm like my whole day would be done. So I just found that staying on a certain task and a certain cycle of things, you know what's going to come up, you know what you have to do in the next hour, 2 hours. It just makes your life, in a sense, way more easier because you just know where you're going. Where you're sitting there going through Netflix trying to figure out what you're trying to do. You know what I mean? Where I really like to stay focused just because I see the benefit of everything in the end. I see where I'm going, I see where I'm headed, and I know that 6 months of hard work can bring me 2 years ahead of than I would be sitting home and watching like Netflix or like random TV shows and stuff like that. It benefits me, but it also benefits the people and the people I'm talking to in the speeches too. So as I grow myself and get bigger, I can teach these people how to do these things. I can teach them the little tricks that I did and learned through my journey to stay on this path and stuff like that. So I really feel like it's just like me doing my part in this world, just teaching people how to become a better version of themselves.
One,
Something
that's
we
awesome.
all can learn.
Two, I'm about to change my whole day.
Yeah.
Jesus, y'all writing books, got plans.
I'm sorry. I'm just
Every
tripping on
time somebody
Donnie's
come on here,
daily routine, and I'm just like, I know there's about like 9 of those steps I'm not doing.
gosh,
You can get there though. You can get there eventually if you really want it.
Yeah, I know.
It was like
I know.
after waking up, I was just like, yeah, I don't do the rest of those. I don't.
I mean, I wake up.
I wake up and then that's it. I got one out of the 20.
You just see the benefits of it, and then when the benefits over succeed the negative parts of it, you just like why would that? You know what I mean?
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Book writing. How difficult is that? I know.
I'm not even gonna lie. It is not easy. You start off and you have all these ideas and you're ready to go. And then once you start writing it down, you just start realizing how much more like you thought you were just gonna do this little ball, and then you realize the book's gonna be like this big now. Because as you start writing, you start adding new things. You start learning new things as your day to day goes. And you start reading like this book is gonna be more like way longer than it was. And then sometimes you do get writer's block too, where you just like you kind of just want to skip the next chapter because you're kind of just so fixated on this one part of it, but it's not your mind's not clear anymore. You're not really thinking. You're really just trying to push it when it's not coming out naturally. You know what I mean? So you just gotta like really just be calm with yourself and just like yo, set goals, but just understand that like it's not gonna happen exactly how you want it to be, and that there is gonna be days off where you don't write anything. There's gonna be days that you write like 4 chapters, and just you guys gotta stick with the process and just love the process and just know that this is my end goal, this is what I want, and as long as that end goal gets achieved, then you really did your job. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. The keys to get it out. The key, if you start reading what you wrote,
oh, you just stuck there.
It's just like just keep writing, just keep getting out, and I'm trying to take because I've self-published quite a few books. I'm trying to take it to the next level. Like and that's it's funny because I know I want to do that. I'm kind of stuck because it's just like because whatever I've done before, I'm like I want to do it better. So it's more research and so I'm outlining more. And you know it's easy when you do research because you're like, well, I don't want to plagiarize, but now I need the research.
Exactly. So, no, I don't. Yeah.
Some of it's like, well, I just put this in my own words. So when you're writing your story and it's all your stuff, then that's easy. But when you want to beef it up to back it up. Like, hey,
Exactly.
and then it gets, it gets a little bit more complicated. But
You have to read it and then put it into your own words and still make it make sense. Whereas you're not just fully taking everything, you're just copy pasting everything.
yeah, so you have to know the information before you put it in.
Exactly.
So you might spend more time learning the information to where now, okay, I can put in my own, in my
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So
100%.
Wow, you guys get it gold
But
star for
you're teaching yourself, but you're also
They give
learning
it,
at the
they give
same
a gold
time while you're
star
trying
and
to
a
help
free
others.
lunch ticket. The free lunch ticket and everything.
Cause I ain't gonna lie, I've written 0 books. I've had 0 inspiration to write a book. I've read some books, a few. Me and books don't get along.
Honestly,
Like,
I'm pretty much the same way. I don't like reading, but I push myself to read just so I can get the information so I can write my own book.
did you all? I listened to Kevin Hart's book, and it's funny because he says at the beginning, he's like, "This is the only book I've ever read." It's the book
Okay,
that
true story. I've read the Rock's book and the stuff they make us read in school, which those I didn't even read. I got like Cliff Notes because I was reading The Catcher in the Rye. I don't even know
oh
what
my
The
god.
Catcher in the Rye is about. So I love Men of Mice. That was a very good book. It was sad as hell.
Oh, with
Um,
George and
Lenny,
yeah,
Lenny,
Lenny,
yeah.
yeah.
and he killed the mouse and the woman and the dog and everything.
Or you just spoiler alert.
Sorry. Well, I'm pretty sure by now, if you ain't ready or seen the movie,
Yes.
something ain't right. It's only been about 50 years since this book has been in existence. So, sorry if I spoiled this book for anybody who hasn't seen the Men in Mice or read the book. You're a little late. About 30 years. So, you might want to get on that and check your life because I don't know what to tell you.
Oh man.
What else? I mean, I don't know. I lived in an age where like computers were starting to come along. I'm using that as a crutch and an excuse. Like computers was the reason I didn't read books. No, I don't know. I was more like one of them fantasy kids. Like if I read it, it was cool. But if I seen it come to life, then I liked the book. But I always wanted to ask at the authors because I've asked a few about their process and as far as writing, and they've all kind of said the same thing. It's the research and reading other work to write your book. And I was like, that never really made sense to me until they actually, broke it down like that, like you guys just did. Because like, you don't want to write somebody else's words, but you also want to kind of back up what you're saying with facts.
So
So that makes sense.
how do you combat something like that? How do you, because there's times I've heard people say you don't want to read too much of a certain genre. I'll just say like a science fiction. You don't want to read too much of a certain science fiction from a certain author because then when just to get inspiration, because then when you go to write your own science fiction book, you find yourself implementing some of those tropes that was in from that book. So how do you overcome that hurdle of not plagiarizing or making sure you're doing the copy and paste bit? How do you overcome that?
Well, personally, me, I'll usually go and I'll look it up in like 3 different places, and I kind of combine their facts, and then like put it into my own words, but also like change the word. If I really need to use this stuff, I'll change the words so it's more into my words. But I don't just go off one place. I kind of back it up from 3 different places, and then got to kind of get an overall consensus of those 3 places, and then put it into my words from what I've learned from those 3 places. So it's a mixture of here, here, and here, but now it's my own words because everywhere else they'll word it differently anyways. So as long as that's really how I do it. I kind of
Sorry. On the
go
nonfiction
ahead.
side, it's how you weave your story into it.
Mm-hmm.
So you're taking the facts, but you're weaving your story into it. So the same way that the preacher preach and they're using the stories of the Bible, but they're weaving their stories into it. So it brings that unique perspective to it. On the fiction side of the house, so I've written a fiction book. I never got it out. Hopefully, maybe someday I will. But it's interesting because the characters, it's really true. Like the characters come to life and they start telling you what to write. So that way you're not you're creating the characters and they bring into their story, so you're not stealing somebody else's content, because if you follow where your characters are taking you, then it's ultimately always going to be unique, because they're your characters. And it is crazy, they really do talk to you and tell you where they want to go. It's true what they say about that. Like, you're stuck, and then you just get into your character and they're like, this is what I want to see happening. Okay.
I would say you were crazy about that, but you're not. I've actually no, seriously. Because again, over imagination as a kid, I would always come up with these outlandish characters and different. There's just entertainment, and like I don't realize sometimes that I'm doing some of the things I do because I hear that voice saying, "Go ahead and take this liberty and say that and do this." So it's true. That is totally true. I would say, I think actors feel the same way. Like when you're writing a script, I think I can't remember who it was. Some dude who wrote a script. He said it's kind of sort of the same thing. It's like when you're doing a story that you're making up from scratch, and it's not, about science or anything like that. You're just creating these characters and telling this story. It's a lot. I wouldn't say easier, he said, but the story kind of writes itself once you listen to the characters and you listen to the story that they are wanting you to tell. Which sounds weird to people who don't really create too much, because it's like, even as a podcast or an editor, when you're watching video, you're kind of watching the characters on the video of you taking, and you're like, where are they trying to go in this video, and what story are they trying to portray? And you can edit it a little more seamlessly, or at least I found out myself. Or maybe I was just sleepy and they were talking to the screen, but anyway, I say all that to say this: what you guys do is not easy, which is why I was asking those questions, because like I said, I always like to ask those questions to people who are doing something either I thought about doing or was always interested in. Characters to me are interesting. Just the different layers you can give this character, or the stories that you can tell with just one character, and then you add more layers to the story. That's why I'm glad that there are still authors around, because books are different than movies. Like, movies are cool, but those books, you can really convey a message in this page, and you can really, sometimes the author really puts themselves into it to where you can feel where they were going with the story. So it's just the art of storytelling that I like. The same thing with I forgot where I was going. The same thing with movies, but I have another question. Worst part of authoring?
About authoring?
Yes, like what's the one thing, like, he was like, man, if I can get away from this, I'll be cool.
Honestly, probably just making the worst thing is like making sure that you stay on task and just trying to finish it. For personally, me, there's sometimes there'll be like days that go by and just like I don't even touch my book, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm still writing a book. Like I forgot. So like the worst thing for me, I guess, is just like making sure I'm on it and just getting it finished. Because like sometimes I get distracted and stuff like that. Or at the end of the day, it's like 10 o'clock, and now I'm like, oh, do I want to write my book now or not? And I was just like, I'll just do it the next day. So it's maybe like probably procrastination is probably the worst thing for me.
I think it's not. It's to, because when we read a book, it's so polished, but it's gone through the editing. It's gone through so much. It's not to judge your work as you're doing it. It's to understand, like, this will get better. It will go through editing. It will get better. So sometimes you read a book and you're just so blown away, and you think the author naturally wrote that. They didn't. Like, they went through a process. Like, embrace the process, because if you're trying to get perfect out of the gate, then you're never going to get it done. Get it done and then polish. And that's why some authors, it takes them, especially fiction books, take them 5, 10, 15 years before the book, because they'll write it, they'll put it away, they'll write something else, and they'll come back to it. And but if there's a story that's inside of you that wants to come out, get it, at least get it started. Like you said, step out there and get started and see where it takes you. I think what's beautiful talking about this, it's about tapping into your creative side. Like Donny does photography too. He does things with music. I think our souls need to create. And so whatever format that is for you, explore it. Like give it a go.
Mm-hmm.
I seen the underlying theme between the both of you tonight, and it all boils down to the birth, and it was during at the start of COVID. And I think what happens is, like you said, and we all need to explore our creative sides. And I think what happened, one of the positive things, which sounds weird saying it, but one of the positive things that's come out of using COVID, out of having COVID as the lockdown or whatever, it's caused people who are normally creative become either more creative, or has made people who wanted to create and had several excuses to whatever reason, made them want to step out that box, or like DC said, jump off the porch. And I think that's something that we need more of. Not COVID, of course, but we need more people that's willing to step out that box. If you have that passion for something to create, whether it's art, whether it's music, whether it's writing, music, whatever, step out and do it. Nobody said you had to get it done, but like we said earlier, it's like Donny Cash just spoke. You're better off doing it than not doing it, and then looking back and say, I wish I'd have done it. Even Ann said it. She was like, I've done many things and failed miserably, but she could still walk away, said, but at least I tried.
Yeah.
Best piece of advice you guys have ever gotten?
That's a good question. I think that the best piece of advice I ever got was to look outside the box instead of inside the box. Was to kind of just look back at your life and what you've done. Because I went all through all this stuff, and everybody's like, "Wow, you did all these crazy things." In my head, it's like, it's not crazy. That's my life. You know what I mean? So being able to look back and just seeing where you've come and what you're doing, versus just being stuck in that one little box where you don't even know and you don't see, or you're evaluating what you've done. So definitely my best advice I got is just to look outside the box.
I like that. That's a that's a
Put you on the spot.
because one of the things I wish I would have had more in my life were mentors. And the one advice that God gave me very early on in my life was, I got locked in the bathroom by my stepmom with a spider, which was my worst fear, and I went completely crazy trying to get out. And a calm washed over me, and God said, you can be trapped by your fears, or you can be freed by facing them. And I killed the spider, and she let me out of the bathroom. But unfortunately, that piece of advice, without God following through, me carrying God through with that, is what led me to, being arrogant and overconfident and self-reliant, which then led me to some bad things. I think, the lesson that he wanted to take away, in relying on him, would have saved me a lot of pain. But so I would say, you do want to, don't be trapped by your fears, be free by facing them, but, do so with, again, not to bring my faith on everybody else, but do so with God. Know that the power is through God. That way you don't think you're doing it yourself, and then you end up arrogant with an ego and needing some serious and stubborn, needing some serious pain
So-
to get back.
Since there's two sides of every coin, the worst piece of advice you've ever gotten?
Probably the worst shit of the guy is it'll be better tomorrow.
Really?
Yeah, someone's like, don't worry, it'll be better tomorrow. Like, it's just like, how's that help me? What do you mean it's gonna be better tomorrow? Like, you gonna guarantee this for me? Like, you gonna sign a paper saying this is guaranteed better tomorrow? So like, that was with my leg too. Someone was just like, yeah, it'll get better tomorrow. I'm like, it's not that easy. You know what I mean? You gotta get over a couple more hurdles than just being better tomorrow. But yeah, that's probably the worst advice I ever got.
I ain't gonna lie, that is horrible.
Well, you know
I,
what? I think you're right. I think mine is along with yours of just just getting back up and not dealing with what knocked you down. You
Uh-huh.
know,
For sure, for sure. Yeah.
you got obviously you got to get back up, but you need you need to address the emotions, whatever you know got you down, because
Yeah,
it
definitely.
away. It just
yeah,
Especially
stacks up.
that, because that's been one thing I push, and that's in my book too. Is it's not masking what you're going through or like hiding it. It's you go for 6 years masking something and just trying to push it away, or you can deal with it head on for a month. Go through crying, go through whatever your emotions you go through. But now you've healed yourself. You're over that process now. You're good to go. Now you're not holding that baggage on for that 6 years now. You know what I mean? I really try to teach people that not to make your past your future. Make your future your future. A lot of people they hold on to the past, and that past carries right into the future. So I definitely agree with that for sure.
that is sage advice.
Yeah, it is.
I asked that because we've all heard those weird sayings that you really be like, I don't need to hear this, nor do I want to hear this right now. That is
Mm-hmm.
like when you fall down, somebody tell you to walk it off. Like this,
Yeah, suck
you
it
know,
up.
just
I
or
said,
yeah,
I
suck it up.
Marine
You
Corps
know,
hearing, suck it up,
put some
suck it up,
dirt on it.
Marine.
And that's what I want to ask you, as a Marine, was it as hard as people make it?
You kind of have to frame that a little bit. So it depends. It depends on your personality type. It
Hmm.
really does. Being a alpha type, go getter, it like it was a natural environment to be in. But everybody's like that. So it's kind of like you need to be the top alpha. And so that can get interesting. And you have bullies, you have like different things. It can be a supportive environment, a very competitive environment. And I went from the enlisted side to the officer side. And when I went to the officer side, it was extremely competitive. And as a female, I joined in 1995, so it was very different than what it is now. And I was always fighting. I was always fighting, always standing up for myself. Like it was non-stop. So it made me a certain type of person. And obviously, as a female and what's happening, you can't trust people because the things that happen, like it can mess with you. You need to be extremely strong for it to be like an easier experience. And for me, I knew I wanted to lead Marine. I wanted to be a platoon commander. I wanted to be in charge. So I was such a strong personality go getter that I would go home sometimes and I'm crying, but I'm looking at myself in the mirror and I'm stepping back out there and I put up the fight that I needed to put up. And when they kept promoting me, sometimes I was very confused because I was not, it gets political as you go up in rank, and that's a whole other thing. And I didn't want to play politics. So, I definitely paved my own path in the Marine Corps, and I was always true to myself and what that required. And so it was fighting a lot of battles to do that, and then be able, but that makes you strong, and then you're able to fight battles for other people, and for me, the best time of my life was leading a platoon of Marines, and there's nothing those Marines won't do for you, and you're just so tight, and you get the mission done, and it's just best time of my life was leading Marines. So you gotta go through the tough time to get to the best times.
Thank you.
Yep.
So, very important question. Very, very, very important question.
Chocolate.
What is next?
I was gonna say that with that
you gotta
dramatic
tell
pause.
I know. I had to, sometimes you got to build it up. Sometimes you got to watch a lot of Survivor and stuff. What is next for you guys? What is the? Because Donnie, I'm pretty sure you already have the 6-month goal already set. But what does the next year goal wise look for you guys? Like, what is some accomplishments? What is some goals that you have set? As far as like, you know, is the book gonna release soon? Just what is next?
For me, definitely what's next is like the book again is definitely what's next. I definitely want to do like go on different podcasts and talk about my book and just really push it out there. And there's a lot of people that know about this book just so that I can help some people, maybe save some people as well. I also want to start getting on my foundation for other amputees and just helping people get through that situation and guiding them through the whole amputee process from the start to finish. You know, because there's a lot of questions that I had as an amputee that I didn't know until I talked to other amputees. So that foundation is definitely there for sure. And then I really want to just start with my PR, just start traveling the states and Canada and just doing like big talks, like kind of like maybe not the size of Tony Robbins right away, but I definitely want to do some like workshops with some people and just to guide them and just like show them the process. Where they're not just reading my book now, I'm actually sitting down with them, talking to them one to one, and just figuring out where they're trying to go and just helping them get to where they need to be. So I definitely want to do like workshops and stuff like that across Canada, United States, and definitely in Europe and stuff like that too. So that's where I see myself the next year or so.
So I had two whiteboards full of my plan, and there was a tech startup that was part of that. The first time Story Slam across the U.S. and Europe, and there was a lot of stuff on those two boards. And about a month and a half ago, God told me to erase all of that, and that He was going to tell me what the plan was. And so I have a board that says God filled the board, and He's really slow at filling it up.
You know what they say. He's not whenever you need him, but he's always on time.
So yeah,
Soon, I hope for you.
it's been for me. You know, I've been in the fire for the last couple of months. He's since the beginning of this year. It's been really intense walk of faith, and I've been deep in the fire the last couple of months. And I'm a planner, I'm a doer, and he's like. He's you know your walk of faith, you know, both faith, like for me, if you told me, hey, move to, you know, Africa and go do this, that's my jam. You know, I'll go into
That's
the
with the way things are
unknown.
right now. That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, like I'll move into the unknown. You know, you want me to pack everything, you want me to sell everything, like I'm there. You know, that's me. But when guys like do nothing, I'm like, excuse me. No, that's very uncomfortable. I don't like this. He's like, I'll let you know when it's time. And I'm like, so I am holding steady and waiting and trying not to step out of his will, because I'm like, Donnie, like, I got a plan. I want to do this thing.
You know, it's funny you mention that. It's funny you mention that because there's something I heard the other day, and it was a motivational speaker, and he was saying you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable, and
Yeah.
that's where it breaks. That's where you make that break. And I'm like, oh, okay, I get you now. And it's funny you say
It's
that.
different for different people, but you know, when men builds, man has to sustain. What God builds, God sustains. And I have been in the entrepreneurial game a very long time. I've lost my house before. Like I've done this, and I'm I'm gonna have God make it so He sustains it, because I can't do it in my own strength. Like I've been there, done that. I will stick in this very uncomfortable position until He talks me out of it.
First of all, I want to thank you two guys for coming.
No,
Um,
thank you.
I
Yeah.
appreciate both of you guys' honesty and openness. That's what a part makes this work. Um, it's people being open and honest and being willing to tell their story, and just be free. It's called What the Shit for a reason. It's not, cakes with candy. It's what the shit so people can feel free. So first of all, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Second, I say this all the time, and I mean this when I say it. You guys have a home here. Anytime you guys want to promote something or have something to tell or promote, don't hesitate to hit me up. I will promote it, talk about it, put it on all social medias because I believe when people share their time with us, you have to reward that 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 leap of faith they take because people take a chance on coming to the show. And I don't mean like coming on here. I mean like giving their time and efforts. And I like to reward that with showing my loyalty and my gratitude. So again, doors are always open. Um, we do a little thing here called parting shots. It's that last chance to one, tell people where they can find you, and two, impart some wisdom before we shut down for the night. Um, I don't know who wants to go first, but it's always fun deciding. Um, and let's start with you.
All right. Well, you can find me if you're looking for me personally, Ann Bernard across social media. And for first time storytelling, it's first time storytelling. And again, I want to invite you. I do teach a lot of free classes, and you can get the course for free. So hit me up and at first time storytelling. Like again, I will give it away. I want to turn you into a personal storyteller. And I promise you that when you start opening up and you find the right people, you will be heard and you'll be understood and you get to be remembered, and we all need that. But you got to do your half of the part and get ready to open up, be vulnerable, and share. And so I invite you to get yourself ready to do that. I'm here to help you do it.
Thank you.
And thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. Anytime.
You can find me on Instagram, Donny Cash with the K and two H's. If you want to follow my photography and videography side, you can follow me at Shop by Cash with the K and two H's. Um, I'll leave people with is to make it your mission to make someone else's day better. And to also don't be shy for asking for help and wanting to heal yourself. It is okay to heal yourself. It is okay to be going through bad times, and you're not alone. Everybody goes through bad times. What's not okay is not allowing you to heal yourself and not wanting to heal yourself. So make it your mission just to heal yourself. Go talk to whoever you need to talk to. Open up. Express everything you're going through because it's just going to make your life so much, much more better and more passionate and more beautiful.
Again, thank you guys for coming.
Thank you so much.
They like to clap a lot. Appreciate you guys. Like I said again, I don't take it lightly when people come to the show and talk about themselves, which is sometimes the hardest thing to do is to talk about yourself, as we learn. And some people have a hard time doing it, but I appreciate it. And again, please don't hesitate. The door is always open. I will always be there to help promote or whatever. It's my thank you. And as part of my duty is being on this platform and having a chance to help tell stories and help put eyes on people who deserve it. I think there's a lot of dope people who are doing a lot of dope things that just aren't being seen. So whatever numbers I can use to help push that, I'm always down to do. Chris, talk to the people.
You can follow me at BlurCon. That's right. I'll be at BlurCon this weekend, so check your boy out. I'll be there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, all 3 days. VIP treatments. Come hunt down Chris Fury. I'll be hunting everybody else down. Also, you can check out Blurred's Eye View every Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. You can check us out on all podcasts. Anywhere you listen to podcasts. Go to at Blurred's Eye View on IG. You can also go to the personal IG, Chris.Fury1. You can also check me out in my new co-host every Thursday, Tracy Carr, with Blurred's Reacts. Same time, same bat channel. Same thing. But you'll check us out anytime you listen to a podcast. We always got some new stuff going on. We got some great guests coming up really soon for the month of July. You'll want to tune in for that. And you know what?
I don't know.
It's our hometown, DC. So, pray for Akron, man. It's our hometown. There's a lot of drama that's going on in Akron right now. A lot of it I don't approve of. And just want to see the city heal, and get to the bottom of the ongoing problem that we see between the Black community and law enforcement. It just needs to stop. We know what it is. Other than that, the floor is yours.
Well, I know where I won't be. BlurCon, because I'll be working this weekend. So there's that. I'll be VIPing it as I carry beds into people's houses. As usual, you know where to find us. We're pretty much everywhere. I don't have to say that. It goes without saying. At this point, if you've been listening to us for coming up on 2 years, in 20 days, it'll be 2 years. Season 6, we're still rolling. Everywhere that you listen to your podcast, iHeart, iTunes. Cross your fingers. In a week, I might be on Pandora. Yeah.
Okay, fire.
So there's that. But it's not for me. I can talk mess any time of the day, but it's also fun to have great guests on who are, one, dope, because that's the most important quota for me, is to have dope people on. Anybody can come on here and give us facts and figures and real boring, tedious stuff that no one wants to hear. Wait, come on here every day. 2 + 2 is 5, and then if you co-sign this quota and all that trash, those people we don't want. We want people who live lives, who have done stuff, who's traveled the world, who's seen real stuff, because that's the people who are living their dream, who are doing what they want to do, and who are like us, just trying to make it their way. And that's what's important, is to do the work, jump off the porch, quit being scared. If fear got me, I wouldn't be here today. And fear kept trying to get me, because I thought about quitting a couple times. But I'm still here, and I still get to talk to dope people. So this is what the shit. We ain't going nowhere. We're here to stay. I want to thank our guest, Mr. Donny Kash, Miss Ann Bernard. You guys have been wonderful. You
Really
guys have
dope.
been great.
Thank you.
You guys have been dope. You
Oh,
guys have been
dude.
amazing. Shout out to, as I read the screen because I almost forgot who they were, WMIC, our media group, Obelisk Radio, 4TV Hub, also Kick Up Your Heels, who have always been amazing. Rachel and Katrina has always been dope, and they are special to us too. With that being said, I want to thank you guys for coming. You guys have been amazing. This has been our show. This has been What the Shit. We're going to end it a little differently tonight. I'm just going to leave you guys with this quote. If you can't be with the one you love the one you're with. Or if not, find somebody who you don't care about and just tough it out for like 2 seconds. I don't know. Love you guys. Be amazing. Pretty sure that.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
That's the beauty of life. As you always say, that's the beauty of
I had
life.
to, because I always end it with something crazy and then I always say something profound. But tonight I just wanted to end it with a joke because there's a lot going on. Everybody knows it's crazy. Gas is $52 a gallon. A cheeseburger is $25. Like, it's just outrageous. Just be happy and don't forget what you have and be proud of that. Stop looking at what the people next door have. Don't get caught up in all that. Be yourself and love what you have, because it can always be worse. But just know it can get better as well. You just got to, like my man said, get help and get up out that. So, again, appreciate y'all. Thank y'all. Good night.
Much love. Take care.
Night, everyone. Thank you.